the U.S. Air Force dropping a highly potent non-nuclear bomb in a remote region of Afghanistan. Official statements claim that the bomb was used to destroy a key insurgent stronghold in the area. However, there were circulating rumors regarding disturbing activities in the hours prior to the bombing. At present, we find a couple of fighter pilots named Captain Kate Sinclair and Johnson from the Royal Air Force flying over Afghanistan when they are suddenly attacked by Afghani insurgent groups. As their aircraft get hit, both pilots eject themselves from their seats and parachute to the ground. Kate loses consciousness upon impact, during which she experiences a vision of her mother and son. Shortly after, she is woken up by Johnson, but they are soon surrounded by a group of armed insurgents. Sensing their arrival, Johnson instructs Kate to play dead while he turns around to deal with them. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a bad idea as he is immediately killed. When one of the insurgents approaches Kate, she takes out her gun and shoots him. She then uses his body as a shield to take down the remaining threats. After successfully wiping out the enemy, Kate bids an emotional goodbye to her teammate before venturing on her way. She tries to establish contact with her base, but to no avail. Meanwhile, one of the insurgents seems to have survived the shootout, so he immediately summons for extra backup. Shortly after, Kate notices the insurgents approaching her on their trucks, prompting her to seek refuge in a bunker area. The bunker's door is marked with a warning sign in Russian, which she cannot comprehend. The entrance door is heavily locked, and before she can attempt to open it, the insurgents open fire upon her. Kate quickly takes cover behind a metal container and returns fire. Amidst the intense shootout, one of the insurgents fires a rocket launcher that opens the bunker's door, giving Kate the chance to sneak inside the dark place. She grabs her glow stick and climbs down to the basement to evade her pursuers. As she ventures deeper into the area, she finds additional Russian signs, some beds, and a row of gas masks. Soon after, she stumbles upon a decomposed body, which appears to be that of a scientist. On a desk, she finds several Russian notes and a portable hard drive, which she opts to take with her. Upon a brief investigation, she realizes that this is a testing lab for human subjects, evident from the presence of multiple pods containing bodies. Before long, the insurgents also make their way into the lab. They are equally disturbed by the contents within. Kate takes advantage of their distraction and knocks out a man before snatching his gun. Amidst the hail of gunshots, one of the pods shatters, releasing a humanoid figure. As Kate runs out of ammo, she enters a ventilation duct in an attempt to escape. Soon after, the figure awakens, revealing itself as a long-clawed, flesh-hungry monster. It instantly kills one of the insurgents and feeds on his flesh. Meanwhile, an insurgent manages to apprehend Kate, but she cleverly uses a flare to subdue him. She then climbs up the basement, but as soon as she gets on the top, one of the men grabs her leg. Kate tries to free herself by kicking him, but fails. Just then, a monstrous entity appears and kills the man with a single, lethal strike, leaving Kate in a state of shock. Overwhelmed by fear, she races toward the exit door and narrowly escapes the clutches of the creature. But sadly, she gets injured in the process. Following this, Kate fires a few shots to fend off the monster and locks the door with chains. She is then confronted by an insurgent named Kabir, who is waiting for his comrades. However, he hastily retreats upon spotting the creature. Despite her pain, Kate begins to walk through the desert terrain and eventually reaches a road. Sometime later, she is found by a team of American soldiers who were sent to look for the missing pilots. They escort her to their base camp, where Kate meets Major Roy Finch, the commanding officer. She recounts the harrowing incident to the major, but the latter doesn't believe her story. Regardless, he takes the hard drive from her. Shortly after, Sergeant Tom Hook walks in and vouches for Kate, but the major still doesn't listen. In the midst of this, the battalion also finds Kabir and brings him to the camp for interrogation. Afterwards, a medic named Kip helps Kate tend to her injuries. During this, she tells Kabir to speak up, as he too witnessed the monstrous entity, but the latter remains silent. Moments later, Tom enters the tent and questions Kate about what she saw in the bunker. She recalls the sign on the bunker door and uses her photographic memory to transcribe it. Nobody seems to understand, except for Kabir, who translates the text to "do not open." He goes on to explain that the Soviets were the masterminds behind the situation. When Tom hears this, he believes that the bunker must be approximately 30 years old and no human can survive inside for such an extended period without supplies. In response, Kabir asserts that whatever is down there isn't human. At night, more creatures break out from their pods and eventually make their way out of the bunker. Meanwhile, at the military base camp, the major receives a letter from his superior, indicating his voluntary discharge. As a result, he decides to use the hard drive that Kate found as leverage against the superior. On the other hand, Kate and Kip interrogate Kabir, who explains that he didn't shoot their aircraft and that he is merely a driver working for the insurgents to protect his family. Outside, the soldiers are keeping a watch for any insurgents. Suddenly, a soldier disappears and another one notices a monster, prompting him to alert everyone. The entire unit swiftly gets in position and opens fire. However, the monsters are too fast and are able to dodge the bullets. Tom conveys the dire situation to the major, who then attempts to call for backup. But unfortunately, their radio tower is destroyed by the relentless monsters, rendering communication impossible. The situation starts getting intense as soldiers begin to fall victim to the fast-moving adversaries. Kip heads out to assist the wounded soldiers, asking Kate to keep an eye on Kabir. Shortly after, a monstrous creature infiltrates the medical tent and strangles Kate with its long tongue. Fortunately, Kabir manages to retrieve a knife from a chest and cuts off the creature's tongue before stabbing it to death. Following this, the two rejoin Tom and the other survivors. Then, Tom and Kip decide to rescue the Major, who is locked in a life-or-death battle with one of the creatures. They reach him just in the nick of time and shoot the creature, preventing it from claiming his life. Upon realizing the overwhelming numbers of these monsters, the team opts to seek refuge within an empty cargo container. While a soldier named Dave works to unlock the container, another creature launches an attack. But this time, Kate reacts swiftly, leaping atop the creature and using an axe to deliver multiple lethal blows to its head, with Tom providing the finishing strike. After this, the survivors enter the container and decide to wait there until morning. While inside the container, the soldiers ask Kabir if he knows anything about the monsters. In response, he shares that the Russians invaded their nation in the past after a star-like object landed on the Agani Desert. In the later days, the villagers began disappearing during the night and their lifeless bodies were discovered the following morning. Believing that it's some kind of wild animal, Kabir's father decided to hunt it down. But as soon as the Soviets withdrew, the attacks also stopped. Unfortunately, by that time, the village had already lost 46 people, including Kabir's father. The next morning, the group cautiously walks out from the container, only to learn that the monsters have taken away the corpses of their fallen comrades. Following this, the soldiers search around the area and stumble upon a monster's corpse. They take it to the medical tent, where Kip proceeds to conduct an examination. His findings reveal that the creature possesses shark-like teeth and a thick skin that functions as body armor. After thorough inspection, Kip concludes that the creatures can't stand sunlight due to their bodies lacking adaptation to UV rays. In addition, he rips through the monster's body and is shocked to learn that it has human organs. Everyone is confused to hear this, but that's when the Major says that these creatures are hybrid mixed with humans. He apologizes to Kate and reveals that the higher-ups have always known about the bunker. According to the Major, it all began in 1979 when some Soviets came across an alien spaceship in Afghanistan, which Kabir addressed as a star. The Soviets invaded Afghanistan because they needed the alien DNA to integrate into human test subjects. Now that the group doesn't have enough fuel, they must find another way to escape. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted as the creature reawakens and launches an assault. It grabs Kate with its tongue, while also fighting the other soldiers who try to help her. In a desperate attempt to take down the creature, Major Roy sacrifices himself by grabbing a couple of grenades and charging on the monster. In the aftermath, Kate reveals that when the creature touched her, it felt as if it was draining her thoughts, possibly attempting to read her mind. She then suggests that they blow up the entire bunker. The soldiers agree to it, and they also decide to free Kabir from custody. Regardless, Kabir requests to join them, expressing his wish to avenge his father's death. Following this, the 7 survivors, Kate, Tom, Kip, Dave, Kabir, Jade, and Jones, make a bold decision to blow up the bunker with whatever ammunition they have left. Upon reaching the site, they venture inside and plant several time bombs. But as they are about to leave, Kate drops her locket, so Tom pauses to give it back to her. Just then, a monster appears from behind and pulls Tom down into the basement. Believing that they have lost him, the rest of the team prepares for detonation. However, moments before triggering the remote, Tom contacts Kate and instructs the team to continue with their plan. He strictly tells them to not come looking for him, but Kate doesn't agree with him and decides to head inside to save him. The other team members, initially resistant, ultimately agree upon Kate's insistence, acknowledging that Tom would do the same for any of them. After this, the group gets on a broken elevator and Kip lowers it by using a rope from their vehicle. A short while later, Kip's radio catches a frequency alert that warns everyone to evacuate the area within the next 20 minutes because there will be a missile strike. He immediately relays the information to the rest of the team members, but they decide to carry on. With the limited time, the group splits up to cover more ground more quickly. In the meantime, Tom finds a monster in front of him and it soon grabs him by its tongue. Acting swiftly, he bites its tongue and retrieves his knife to stab it to death. Just then, he notices a dead body of one of his fallen soldiers, so he arms himself with the soldier's gun and makes his way out. As the team arrives at the lab, Kabir recognizes the decaying bodies on the tables as the missing people from his village. While looking around, Kate finds a pot on the wall that she didn't see before. She turns on the light, only to discover a huge alien-like creature floating inside, still alive. Shortly after, Tom contacts Kate to know about their exact location and finally reunites with the team. Inside, the team notices more creatures hatching out from their pods, prompting the soldiers to make a hasty retreat. They seal off the hallway door, but someone must stay behind to keep the door shut. In an act of selflessness, Jones volunteers for this duty, allowing the rest of the team to escape. As they sprint down the corridor, Jade detects the presence of the approaching monsters, and as a result, she also vows to stay behind to confront them. Upon reaching the elevator, the team realizes that Jade is missing. Thus, Tom makes the decision to go back for her, instructing his team to proceed without him if he fails to return within a 2-minute window. On the other hand, Jade fights a monster and eventually manages to overpower it. However, she is soon confronted by another one. By the time Tom arrives on the scene, it's already too late. Jade has fallen victim to the monster's onslaught. Tom then grabs a tool in front of him and fights the creature with it. Meanwhile, in the hallway, Jones can no longer maintain his grip on the door, so he lets it go and detonates a bomb, taking several monsters with him. Tom hears the explosion and immediately hides inside a compartment right before the flames enter the room, killing the creature. The team members, who are waiting at the elevator, are also attacked by the monsters. Due to this, they instruct Kip to pull them up. However, Kip appears to be fighting the insurgents, who are now getting inside the vehicle. Kip somehow manages to take down one of the insurgents and activate the elevator to ascend. But unfortunately, the elevator becomes stuck, causing the vehicle to be hoisted instead. Kip attempts to stop the vehicle while also dodging from the enemy's bullets. Down in the basement, the team members fight desperately for their lives, but tragically, Dave succumbs to the onslaught. Kip is unable to stop the vehicle, which leaves him with no choice but to move out of the way and surrender himself to the insurgents. The truck plunges into the basement, resulting in the demise of everyone except for Kate, who manages to jump away just in time. Shortly after, Kate reunites with Tom, and the two grab the elevator wire to make their way up. Upon exiting from the bunker, they spot the insurgents on the verge of executing Kip. In the nick of time, they open fire and eliminate them, rescuing their teammate. Seconds later, they witness a fighter plane dropping a missile in the vicinity. As a result, the trio steals the insurgents' vehicle and flees. A massive explosion occurs, but it doesn't reach the soldiers, although it does push the vehicle off the road. Kate believes that the bombing came from the government to get rid of the evidence regarding the existence of the bunker. Nevertheless, she isn't worried because the Major had handed over the hard drive to her before his death.